Welcome back to the Yellow Jacket Basketball Report. Today we're here with Cam Lowe. Cam, why don't you tell us a little bit about where you're from?
I'm from Colorado Springs, Colorado. I went to high school at Lewis Palmer High School, which for some of you know is a familiar name.
Yeah, very familiar name.
Very familiar. I've gotten that a lot. But I grew up when I was a little kid in Kansas, moved out to Colorado, and then
How old were you when you moved?
I was, I think, seventh grade going into, so mainly grew up in Kansas and then came to Colorado. And now I'm in Spearfish.
How did you end up here in Spearfish?
Really just Coach Thompson and recruiting and how that process goes. I'd been to Mount Rushmore a few times, but other than that, like South Dakota wasn't really on my radar. But then when I hit the transfer portal out of Colorado State, which was like more of a hometown school, Coach Thompson reached out and brought me up here and showed me Spearfish, showed me the team, showed me the guys, and I really like Spearfish, so I just felt like it was home. And so
what's something that you really like about Spearfish?
I'd say I like the people and sense of community.
Yeah.
And just like the peacefulness. Like there's like plenty of stuff to do to keep you busy, but at the same time, there's like no traffic and everything's a 5-minute drive away, which I would say is like the most convenient thing ever. And I just really like the vibe of the city. Like in the summer, they do the Friday night downtown stuff, which is like really cool. I was here for the summer. I got to do that. And then obviously the support from the community. So Spearfish itself is very nice.
With the support from the community, have you had any interesting interactions with boosters or?
No, I just say the one thing that happens with nearly every donor or booster is that they watch you play. So you they know your name, but you've never actually met them. So then when they introduce themselves, they don't say their name because they just know yours. So you're sitting there the whole conversation. You're like, can I just get a name so I can put a name to a face? I know who you are. I've seen you in the stands, so then it's hard. I'm bad with names anyways, so I forget. And a lot of times I'm like, sometimes I get in those conversations and they're just like, hey Cam. And I'm like, hey, I don't know who you are. I've seen you before. You're at every game. You sit row 3 section or seat 5. But so that's just kind of something funny that happens in the first.
You can kind of, pick up on their voices too during the game because you can hear where the voices are coming from. Yeah, like I got
Wayne. The only reason I know Wayne is because he's right behind the bench.
Yeah,
I heard his voice, and Wayne's right behind us. And then I worked for Scott Hansen, so I hear his voice all the time.
Yeah. All right, so what would you say is a belief that you had coming into this year that's recently changed?
That's a great question. I'd say I didn't have a necessarily feel for what Division II basketball would look like. I just kind of believed that it was a lower level of basketball, and I was kind of not rudely awakened. I didn't think it was bad, but I did find out how competitive Division II was throughout the whole level. Like I knew top level Division II teams could compete with like low major Division I. But I didn't realize how, deep, especially the RMAC was. I thought teams, and it was an RMAC down year, and I thought teams 3 through 8 were all like capable of beating each other on every night. And so that in conference play was something I wasn't necessarily like I didn't believe it was good, but something that definitely surprised me was the level of competition night in and night out in the RMAC.
Yeah, that's a great answer, honestly. You really don't know until you're playing in it.
Absolutely not. I mean, I think you can say with any college basketball. I mean, you have an idea of what things will look like, but once you're on that floor.
It's different. Yeah, when you're on the floor, it's completely different.
There's nothing that can describe it, and you just kind of have to adapt.
So
once you do that, though, I feel like you have a good idea what's next. But that first couple of years playing is definitely tough.
Yeah. What's something that people misunderstand about you that you wish that they understood about you? Just in a general sense of people who don't really know you.
I'd say people misunderstand my age and how I've gotten to Black Hills in my basketball journey. Unless you're really close to me, you would know like my spot. But a lot of people don't understand. Like I'm 21 years old, but this is my first year of college basketball. So like that one's always a tough thing to describe to people. They'll be like, "Oh, you're a freshman." I'm like, not really.
Yeah.
I can legally drink. Like it's not a lot of freshmen that can do that. So I redshirted a year, and then I actually did a year at the Air Force prep school, which not a lot of people know what that is, but definitely a wrench in the plan of life. And so I'm a lot older than many people I would think guess or like misunderstand where I'm at in terms of my eligibility and all that.
Let me ask. Wait, are you a Lakers fan or no?
Not really.
Not really.
No.
Wait, what team do you like?
I would say I like the Nuggets, just being from Colorado.
Yeah.
And
You watch the Lakers games though?
I did watch the series. Yeah.
From a basketball mind perspective, what do you think went wrong?
I just think trying to bring Luka in too soon to a team that already wasn't very full. Like they didn't have a five, and they didn't have any depth at the big position.
So you think it was like a depth in the other players type thing?
It was a depth in just Luka and LeBron not being like only playing for each other for like 2 months. It takes teams time to mesh and understand how to play together.
Yeah.
And at this point, I think they weren't able to mesh and fix the deficiencies that they had throughout the other roster, throughout which that took to get Luka. So I just think it wasn't a good fit of talent and mix. And I think JJ Rexon's first year too, so it's hard for a first year coach to manage all that.
I just want to ask you that because it's pretty controversial right now.
It's a good question.
Everybody has different opinions on the Lakers.
I know, and if you follow NBA, that's kind of all that's been talked about right now. So that's a good question.
All right, we'll go back to questions about you. What's a loss that taught you more than any win?
I'd say this year the first loss to South Dakota Mines taught me more than I could have ever prepared for with a win. Just because I didn't understand the magnitude of the rivalry being my first year at Black Hills State and what that can do, not only to their players playing a lot better, but to the community and fans. Like that game means so much that it's a heightened elevation of intensity in that game that you're not prepared for. And then also night in and night out that you can be beat by anybody. I mean, they had a rough year winning like 4 games, and one of them was us because we didn't necessarily prepare or play with the intensity that you should at every game.
Yeah. And they played really good that game. They gave the game everything they had.
Yeah, that was their best game of the year, partially because look who we were playing. That's a huge rivalry, a lot of emotion. That happens when you play with that type of emotion. So I'd say just for me, the lesson was like you have to prepare the same way always, and that you have to be ready for adversity, and you just have to stay the course in whatever you're doing, and nothing can change. No matter who you're playing, where you're playing, what happens, like you just have to prepare the same way and do your best to be the same player you are every game.
Is that something you're going to go into the game next year thinking about?
Yeah,
just
absolutely.
Preparing the same way for every game?
I mean, I didn't have like the hatred at the beginning of the year that I do for them now. So I don't think I will overlook them in any way just because like I understand the community and like how they feel towards them. So I think I'll take that actually into every game.
And the impact in that game.
Yeah. But I think outside of that game, I'm going to try to take that lesson and put it for every game we have.
Yeah. And also I think that game was kind of a turning point for us too, as a team.
Yeah, we definitely came together as a squad after that and had some like serious conversations.
Yeah, which I feel like we were avoiding up until that point.
Yeah, it was really, I mean, as much as you don't want to lose, as the question kind of mentioned in life, it's sometimes important to lose or face adversity because growth stems from that.
Yeah, and growth comes more from failure than success.
Yeah, I mean, if we had like squeaked that game away,
then you don't really look at the issues.
Yeah, and so I think it was important to address like things that happened, and I thought I was happy with our response. So, I mean, then now going forward, I can use it as a learning point, hopefully, and continue to like not only that game, but every game in the future, be better prepared than I was the one before.
When's a time that doubt almost won?
In my life or just on the court?
Well, can I get both?
Yeah, I can. Yeah, you can. I'd say on the court, just I'd say like imposter syndrome kind of ish at when I was in high school getting recruited. Recruiting was a tough process. I never knew what like level I was supposed to be at. I never knew exactly what type of player I was. I didn't know what coaches were telling me the truth versus which ones were kind of telling me what I wanted to hear.
Yeah.
So I had a lot of doubt in the recruiting process in life. Just because that was a very unknown, it was my unknown process for me. And so that was, I definitely doubted my ability at times during recruited and where I belonged. I'd say on the court, actually, I've been lucky enough. I don't think I've ever doubted myself.
Yeah.
Which I've been a confident kid since I was, and I just know that my work in the off season and my work during practice shows. So I've never really doubted my ability when I actually step on the court to have a great game and be a great teammate and do all that. I think that's actually where my realm of like I control.
Yeah.
And so I'd say luckily I've never felt that on the court.
What's the hardest conversation you've had to have with yourself related to basketball?
I just think the hardest conversation was kind of looking back at what do you need to be better at?
Yeah.
I think that happened after my year at Colorado State. I learned a ton about myself during that redshirt year. Like that was a hard thing to go through itself in terms of not playing for a year. And I was lucky enough to be surrounded by great players, great coaches that kind of put me in a really uncomfortable situation. And like I had to grow. I wasn't good enough. And that conversation that I had to look at myself, tell myself in the mirror, like, you have to get better at these things, and then you have to be honest with yourself. That was tough. It was I can't get through ball screens. Like that was one of the things is I can't guard a ball screen like I need to be guarding. I'm not defensively proficient enough. I turn it over too much. Like those honest evaluations are hard to have with yourself at times. So I think when I was going through it, taking a step back and like having some conversation with those coaches and being like, what do I need to get better at was some of the harder things to do. Cause it just made me realize, man, I have a long way to go. And so that was definitely difficult at times.
Yeah. But I mean, you're not going to get better at anything if you can't identify the problem. So it's necessary.
Yeah,
like it's something you have to do.
I feel like it holds back people in their development is if they don't.
Yeah.
I think I look at you and I think you increased a role or got better every year. If you look from your freshman year to your senior year, which is impressive because it shows that you went through some type of evaluation of where do I need to be next year.
Yeah.
And that steps were obvious for you. So like, I feel like when people do that, they see growth like you did in your career. When people don't do that, however, that's when you probably have.
Would you say that's the number one thing that stops people from growing is not being able to tell what they need to do to get better?
Yeah, I wouldn't say, I can't say it's like number one.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of reasons for why people maybe don't reach their goals and stuff like that. But I think it's a huge contributor of the lack of self-awareness to know what you are and what you want to be and how to get there.
Or being afraid to ask.
That too.
So, being afraid to ask somebody who, like your coach, for example, knows what you need to do to be better.
Yeah. I had a guy just tell me, and Josiah Strong, great guy. He's playing pro now, and he just like told me straight up after a practice, like, dude, yeah, you can't guard anything. And I'm like, yeah, I know. Like it's, so yeah, sometimes it hits you in the face. Other times you have to go like searching for, what do I need to, I think after success, especially, I think after this year, I had more success than I did in a redshirt year. So I had to look back and maybe have some look for those conversations of where do I need to improve?
Yeah.
Because there were less things.
Yeah.
Because I already grew a little bit. Right. So that was one thing I was happy with is I met with coach and we were like, all right, here are the things that you're not good at. We need to address those. And so that was really good. That's good for my development. And so that's what I'm trying to do.
Yeah. Because like even if Kobe Bryant had something to fix every offseason, I'm sure everybody does.
Yeah, that guy's a little insane though.
Yeah,
no, I don't
that
think
is
anybody
true,
got
but-
that type of work ethic. You would know. You got the tattoo.
Yeah. Here, I'll ask you a little philosophical question, kind of. Do you think success is more about discipline or vision?
I think discipline, personally.
Discipline.
Because I think you can have the vision to do a lot of things. You can see the goal. You can see how this could be. You can see your life. But if you don't understand that it takes every day leading up
Yeah.
to get there, you're never going to get there. You have to have a vision. That's necessary. But more important is, are you willing to wake up and do the things every day? Whether you're sick, whether you're not feeling it, whatever that vision is, like approaching every day as an opportunity to achieve those goals and reach that vision. And that takes discipline, because motivation will go up and down. That's something I've noticed a ton in basketball. But when you build that discipline of, this is what I do, this is who I am, and that you make it your life, then that vision can become true. But without discipline, I don't think you can reach anything there.
Yeah. Okay. That's a good answer. I agree. I'd say they're both important, because sometimes taking a step in the wrong direction can be more harmful than not taking a step at all.
Very true.
But without discipline, nothing's ever going to happen.
I would agree. Great question. You're killing it today.
Oh, thank you. What does making it actually look like to you?
Making it
in your head, like, just like, oh, I made it.
I don't think, just how I am, I don't think there's ever a made it, because one of my goals is to be a professional basketball player, right? And once you get there, there's going to be another goal.
100%. Yeah.
So once it's, man, now I'm playing pro. If I'm fortunate enough to get that goal, now I want a better league, or I want to get more money, or I want to
average this amount.
There's going to be more goals. Then I get those, and I made it. Well, now I want to have a family. It goes past basketball at that point. And then once you have a family, it's like, well, I want to be a father. I feel like successful people and people who are really motivated, they've never made it. There's always more that they can have.
Yeah.
And it's hard too, though, because you can't always be chasing, but you have to be present of, like, what do you have? But I feel like there's always a point there. Maybe when I'm like 95 on my deathbed, if I get there and I'm like, man, I've lived a great life. But I feel like there's always going to be something that you will have to strive for. At least that's me. And maybe that might lead to me being never satisfied. Hope not. I hope I'm able to be present. But I just feel like there's always going to be something that you can look forward to make it, to be a better person every day.
Are you more of like a goal-oriented person? Like, because for me, I write my goals down every morning, like, for what I want to do. Are you more like that, or are you more just have like an idea in your head?
I would say very goal-oriented. I feel like I'm just kind of type A mindset. Like, this is how it's going to get done. It needs to happen this way. I need to be able to see it. So I'd say I'm goal-oriented in the way I just kind of go throughout that process of figuring out what I want to do and where I want to be.
Okay, yeah.
It's smart to write them down. I should probably do that more.
I'm just in the habit of it now.
Yeah. Writing down is huge, because then they're tangible at that point.
Well, usually I write down like 3 long-term goals, and then I write down a way I can work towards it that day.
Yeah. It's really smart.
Yeah, it's just a habit I built up.
I think anybody that, can visualize and put something on paper, it makes it more successful than it just being an idea.
Yeah. What's a win that didn't feel as good as you expected?
I'd say this year, a win that didn't feel as good as expected was, I remember, like, the Adams State win for me. Because of my individual performance. Like, if you look back, I remember that was, I set the record in RMAC for consecutive threes made without missing, like 7 in a row or something. And then we won, and it was like a really tough effort. But I remember after the game, even though, like, I had such a good individual performance, it didn't feel as if, like, we should have won by more, and we didn't play great.
Yeah.
And even though my individual performance was probably one of the better shooting nights, like better offensive production nights I could have ever had, like, it didn't feel that way after, like, man, I'm great. Like, I was hooping. It didn't feel like that. It was kind of afterwards. I was just like, man, we probably should have won that game by more. Or, man, like, I just felt that I had a great performance offensively, but it didn't even feel like that rewarding afterwards, because the team wasn't where it needed to be after that game. Now, we did get back New Mexico Highlands. We played really well that next game. So I was like, that's good that we made that growth. But when the team didn't play as great, it just didn't feel as impressive of a win, even though individually I was really good.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Do you believe that everyone has a purpose, or like only a select few people?
I think everybody can find their purpose. I truly do believe that there's a role in this life for everyone. But I think what happens is some people don't find it. And it takes a lot of things to get there. Man,
Yeah.
these are good. I'm really thinking here today. This is good. And I would say that your purpose might change throughout life. Like,
Yeah.
I think there's a plan and set, and you have to sometimes find that and really buy into what that might be. And I'd say everybody in this world matters, and there's a place for everybody in this world, but sometimes it's hard to find.
Yeah, I think you said it great. 100%. I do think everybody has a purpose as well. And kind of trying to find your purpose is kind of one of the big things you can do in life. What's a weird habit or routine that helps you keep you locked in, like before a game?
Yeah, so this is weird. I kind of only figured this out later on in this season. Is most people like to listen to rap music or stuff that gets them hyped up before a game.
Yeah.
I was on that. I did that a lot. Like, I was listening to stuff that got me ready to go out there and like fight people. But I found out that it made me, I got too amped up for the moment. And sometimes when you make the moment too big, you don't actually just settle down. So
Yeah.
I feel after a little bit, I started actually listening to Madonna, Like a Prayer before a game, like every game. The choir version from Deadpool and Wolverine, the movie.
Oh, I love that song. I think I know exactly from the new
yes.
one. Yeah.
Yeah, from the
Whenever
new
they
one.
were holding arms.
Yeah, and they're fighting. I don't know why, but I like saw it on a TikTok, and then I started listening to it, and then I had a really good game, and I was like, I should just. And so then I started listening to music like that. I would listen to like some '80s R&B stuff that would like low key calm me down, and let the moment just get me hype, because I knew it would. But hours before the game, I don't need to be listening to rap and get me ready to go, which was a difference for me today, and that I will go using forward. But it's more like Madonna, 80s. I'll listen to some like Elton John before games.
Yeah.
And then like if it's an R&B day, it'll be like The Weeknd, maybe Brent Faiyaz, just to chill me out.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's my music selection is very different than most people on game days.
How would you describe your relationship with pressure situations?
Yeah, I'd say personally that's just the moments I thrive in. I just always, I want to be the guy to shoot the free throw, and it's not because I've loved the spotlight or anything, but I've always wanted to. I want to be the reason, like, if we lose because I miss a free throw, I don't want anybody else to have that feeling. Like, I'll take that burden.
Yeah.
And then I just feel like pressure increases. Like, you've ever heard the phrase "pressure increases diamonds"
Or pressure makes diamonds. Yeah.
Exactly. Like, I'd like to say I respond positively to that. And I think that's partially because the way my parents raised me. Like, my parents were very like competitive people.
Yeah.
And they push like pressure environments. They wanted me to get out in those situations. So I'd say like I love that moment. Like, I love a close game. Like 2 minutes left, you look up, it's tied. And
Yeah.
the pressure's on. You got to win. Like, awesome. That's great. I love that feeling.
Yeah.
That's what I think I played a game for. Is not the only reason, but one of them that makes it very, very fun to be around. So I'd say pressure is a really good thing for me. What would you say? Do you?
Yeah, usually.
Similar?
This year, I've had a few rollouts that I wish would have dropped, but I don't really I really don't let it get to me at the end of games.
Yeah.
Like, you get kind of to like a flow type thing where you're kind of just like, you're so present in the game, you don't even think about
That's the
it.
best.
Yeah.
Sometimes you don't get that flow moment, but when you do, it's.
I think I get it most in the games. I maybe won't get it at the beginning of games, but if it's a close game situation, I get it most of the time.
Yeah, I would agree.
Do you play to win or play not to lose?
I feel like I don't control it. The idea is you play to win.
Yeah.
Because
Can you explain the difference to the viewer?
playing to win is you're not caring about mistakes. You're playing with the idea that you need to take what's in front of you. If you're down, even if you're up, like, you never let off the gas, you press. And even when you make mistakes, you don't worry about them, right? And you don't change your game plan. You commit to what you're doing. When you play not to lose, sometimes you might, all right, I'm not going to shoot this shot, or, man, I don't want to make this mistake.
Yeah.
Because you know you're winning, or maybe you're playing not to lose. And I think sometimes I play like that. There's times in games where, I know I can't turn it over. and then you play not to turn it over.
Yeah.
That's playing not to lose. And so ideally I'd like to play to win every time. In reality, there's going to be games where I probably don't. So I'd say there's a slight difference in the mentality you have. And so if I can, we play to win every time. I think everybody on the team would agree. And I think there's times you probably had this year too, where you remember like I was playing to win versus I was playing not to lose.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. And, our coach talks about this a lot because in the past with a lot of teams that we've had success on, in the postseason, why we had so much success is the other team's trying not to lose because it's last game and it's over.
Yeah.
And we're just we're coming out, giving everything we got, trying to impose our will on the other team rather than just trying to stop them. You get what I'm saying? We're just going to do our thing and do it as good as we can and try and win. That's kind of how, for our program, how playing to win's kind of been a big thing for us.
yeah.
In a high pressure situation or when everything's on the line, is there something you do to kind of like give yourself a mental reset to lock into the moment, or is it just like natural?
Not really. I'd say it is pretty natural. I'd say slowing things down with like a timeout, which obviously I can't call, like coach would call.
Yeah.
But just slowing down in those moments, and just being present on what's absolutely next. Right. So if you miss a shot with like a minute left in that pressure situation, which is going to happen eventually.
Yeah.
Like instead of worrying about that shot, just being mindful about, all right, the next thing I could do is get a stop. And then in the timeout, like reinforcing that and just taking a deep breath and slowing down and just slowing your mind down a little bit. I'd say is the only thing. There's not like a way you trigger that, but that's just kind of the focus.
Yeah. If you're thinking about the last shot that you just missed, you're probably screwed. It's just how it is.
That's just basketball. Like when you're at the game rewards, like people are doing the right things.
Yeah.
And if you're constantly worried about the shots you're missing or the shot, like the past, you're never going to be able to be good in the present.
Yeah. And you're going to miss. Like, it's the best shooters in the country shoot what? 50 if they're lucky.
I mean, Tristan Hurdle was the best shooter in the country. Great guy.
What did he shoot?
48.7.
48. Yeah. So he still missed over half the time. You're
Like
gonna miss shots.
that's just hoops, man.
Yeah. How do you separate your identity from your performance on the court?
I'd say this is a hard one for me, just because I do care so much about basketball.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you're going through that a little bit now that, your career's over. There's an identity without basketball now. And I'd say for me, it's a process of just finding things outside of hoops that I love. Like recently I've been diving into faith, which is like very centered around that. And then also like my people around me, family, friends. I've been trying to get better at golf. That's trying. I'm not great.
I'm trying to.
I'm trying to get better at golf because they got good golf out here too. But like things like that, like being passionate about things outside of basketball.
Take your mind off it.
Yeah.
I find things that take your like full attention help a lot more than something you just kind of like. If you're watching TV, you're still thinking about it kind of.
Yeah.
But if you can get something that takes all your attention away, then you can actually just get away.
Have you ever
from
like
it.
read a book and you read a page and then you realize
you weren't thinking about the book?
So you just read the page and didn't actually like.
Yeah, you don't remember anything.
That's something that's not actually helping you. So and then also the idea that like who I am is not my performance. Like when I have a bad game or even a good game,
it doesn't even define you as a player, let alone as a person.
I mean, what's more important is like, am I being a great human being? Like the next day, like even when I have a bad day, like are the kids that are staying after the game sometimes, like, am I like taking a picture with them and making their lives better?
Yeah.
Like,
but one thing I found is I actually played better when I focused on just being a good teammate and being there for my teammates.
I mean, and that's just putting your identity outside of yourself.
Yeah.
And it's hard to do, like legitimately. And so I'd say that just putting your identity in things that matter, like faith, like family, like friends, and then also just understanding that like whether you score 20 every night or whether you score 0 every night, that the human you are is completely independent from basketball.
Yeah, 100%. Do you think things happen at random, or do you think everything in life happens for a reason?
I think like everything, I think that life is random. There's some things that just happen. But recently, as I've dove into a little bit of my faith, I do believe everything happens for a reason. I think that things that happen in your life are designed for your growth, and for you to understand and for you to have adversity and build your person. But I do think there's a set of randomness to life. Like that's just, if you look at the world that we live in, it's pretty chaotic.
Yeah.
But I think that there's a lot of things in your life that happen for a reason, and you have to be able to see those and try to make, I think,
the best out of it.
Yeah, I think my journey from Air Force prep to CSU led me to Black Hills for a reason. Like, I didn't see it in high school. I was originally recruited by Black Hills in high school.
Yeah.
And I didn't like it. I actually hated Spearfish, which is funny now that I love it. But when I came to high school, I was like, that town sucks. But I had to go through some growth. I had to go to Air Force prep, see what that military side of life looks like. And then I had to go to CSU and get humbled a little bit in terms of, all right, what does basketball really mean to me? What do I want from it? Like, it can't just be that external look of like, I'm playing at the highest level. Like, it's got to be like, what is the substance behind hoops? And I don't think if I had gone through that I'd be as set to be as successful or happy as I am here. And so, like, I think those things happen for a reason, because I needed them.
Yeah.
So I could be the best person I am here today. And if that didn't happen, like, I don't think it was just random that, like, at CSU, man, I had a red shirt. Like,
yeah. I
don't think that just happened randomly.
There was a reason behind it.
There's a reason. Now and I will say, but there's randomness in life. Like, there's sometimes things happen that are like,
you can't do anything about it. Only can control your response. That's it.
But I mean, I'm super young, and I'm like not even the right person to ask that question, because I've only been around for
21 years.
People that are 21 years of life. I'm sure there's people out there
with amazing answers to that
knowledge,
question.
Way more like, so. I mean, if anybody's watching that's older, that's my best young person impression of what I could say. You probably got a better idea of.
Yeah, leave it in the comments. Leave it in the comments.
You got a better idea of what life is.
Yeah. What scares you more, failure or being forgotten?
Failure, for sure.
Failure.
Just because I feel like I don't really like my image to other people. Like, I want to be remembered by family and stuff like that and my friends, but that my image to other people isn't as important as like my own goals. And so, like, I have certain goals, like to be a professional basketball player. Like, I'm not going to live in fear of failure, but like, man, I don't know what to do if that one doesn't happen.
Yeah.
You know, like, I'm really set on being a pro, and like, so I'd say I'm more scared of that than like being forgotten.
Well, I feel like there's two different types of failure. There's temporary and like kind of permanent. Like, failing a long-term goal is different than taking steps and then failing at those steps. I feel like you should embrace failure when it's the little steps to get to where you want. But obviously you don't want to fail something you want to do your entire life.
Yeah. And you're right. Like, I feel like failure is a good thing. We talked about that earlier.
With losing.
Thing.
Yeah.
Like, there's lessons we learn in failure, so you shouldn't be afraid of them. But if I had to be like forgotten or failure, I would say over failure, because there are long-term goals that I don't know how I'd approach.
You center your life around it.
Yeah, like literally, every day I wake up with the goal of like becoming a better basketball player. Why? To be a pro.
Yeah.
Well, what happens if that doesn't happen? You fail. I'm gonna have to do a complete reset.
Yeah.
And so that's where I am like somewhat afraid.
Yeah. Next question: do you believe people can truly change?
Man, I wish you'd give me the preset to think here. I should have gotten these early.
I should have said them early.
I think so. I mean, I feel like I've changed so much through like growth, adversity, through failure. Like, those things happen, and I don't think anybody. If you're really living life and putting yourself out there and being vulnerable, like, I feel like there's nobody that's just staying stagnant all the time.
Yeah.
You might be going down. Like, there's things that set you back in your life. Like, your journey's so different. But I say, like, people can change. The person you know, who you are on one day. Like, I think of Miles, just our teammate as a guy. Like, I didn't know him before, but Miles is a content creator. Probably a lot of you know him, but I mean, the person who he is now is very different than the person he was.
Yeah.
And I think it's super cool.
100%.
And so I do think people can truly change.
And I think people, a lot of who they are, like from where they grow up, the bubble they're kind of in. So just by like getting out into the world and seeing more people, I think people are bound to change.
Yeah.
Honestly.
But I think vulnerability is huge on that. If you never actually put yourself out there in situations that could be like hurtful, or you fail, like, you won't experience that change, because we talked about. Like,
and I know it's scary, but
I feel like that's kind of what you're doing though. Like, that's what this is about at the end of the day. Like, that's what life is about.
Like, experiences.
Yeah.
Is pain a teacher or just a byproduct of life?
I feel like pain is definitely, I feel like, can definitely be a teacher. I think it can be both. I can see situations where it's both. I think there's sometimes that for example, I remember when I was a kid, we had this huge hill in Kansas that we'd ride down on our bikes, right? And it was, I mean, we got fast, and I don't know, I was like 8 or 9, so I don't really know how fast I was going, but I felt like I was going 100 miles an hour. And I remember one time I tried braking so fast because like I started going so fast, I was gonna miss my turn, and I missed the pedal or I missed whatever, and I ended up crashing the bike.
Yeah.
So like in that moment, and it hurt. Like, I was bleeding.
Yeah.
And so in that case, I learned. Like, I think it was a point of learning for me. Like, hey, you probably shouldn't run down this hill at 100 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Kind of like consequence for your action type thing. But I do think there's times where like you're just walking, and man, this happened to one of my friends, Jack Haggett. Like, he like looked at someone and he just accidentally got hit in the pole. The pole and cut his eye open. Like, he wasn't doing anything wrong. It just happened. Like, so I think that,
watch where you're going. You could say
that, but I mean, like, it was pretty random. Like, there wasn't too much he could do. I think that happens too. Like, other people in your life might get like, I know what's painful to see is someone else maybe get like cancer. Yeah. In your family. That's a real life thing.
A real life thing. Yes.
And so you might, like, there's probably stuff to learn from it, but I think that's like completely random. You know, like, and so that just might be hurtful just because it's kind of random. But I think there's lessons that you can also take away. Like, don't go down the bike with your little kid 100 miles an hour on this huge hill next to your house.
You know, something I read actually in a psychology book is pain is the number one thing that determines human behavior. Is the avoidance of pain.
Well, I think that relates to what we were just talking about in vulnerability.
Yeah.
Like, it hurts to get rejected.
Yeah, that's why it's so hard. That's why it's so hard for a lot of people, because it hurts.
Yeah, and I mean,
and we're kind of wired as humans to avoid pain. I mean, it's a survival. It's a survival instinct.
Why would you? It's like the touch the stove thing.
Yeah.
Like, once you touch that hot stove, you're never
touching it again. I still check every single time. I got
a nice thing on mine that has like a little red dot when it's hot.
Yeah.
So I got that.
I still don't trust it. Honestly, I still put my hand above it.
I trust it. I think it works. But
yeah. Who's someone that believed in you before you believed in yourself?
Man, I would say, bro, my dad is just like my biggest supporter, like, ever. And he believes that I'm better than I am, like 100%, because he has so much faith in me and what I do. And when I was like maybe going through some recruiting struggles or even like redshirt struggles, because that was a time, like, I know for a fact he believed in me more than anyone else in the world. And he still does. Like, he still does. Like, he still thinks I should be top of the world right now, because he just thinks so highly of me. And so I'm lucky to have his support that way. But man, he's had unwavering belief in me ever since I was, like, he was coaching me at like age 13, like 12.
Yeah.
Dude, that guy, he believes in me so much. It's really cool. It makes me smile to think about it.
Because not everybody has that.
No, it's not. Like, everybody has their problems, like, especially their family. But like, for me, like, I don't have to worry about like my dad's support.
A support circle.
Yeah, like he is 100% like, Cam can go do anything.
Yeah.
And it's like, sometimes I have to reality check him. Like, I'm not 6'9", dude. Like I can't do that. Like, I could not play the 4 in the Mount West, dude. Like, he thought I could, like, for a second. He was like, you're big and strong. I'm like, no, like, he's so, that dude, he believes in me more than anybody else, even myself at times.
Yeah. Do you think your circle reflects who you are and what your future will be?
I would say, like, at the very core, who I am, they've built, like, my circle. And my circle is pretty small. I mean, it's not a lot of people that, like, when I go to, it's like I'm going to because their opinion matters a ton. Like, I feel like my circle's small, but I think, like, morally, they're the people that have, like, kind of shaped who I am. I don't think it necessarily determines what I'll do or my future. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, I do get to make my own choices. They're not mine. Like, I've made choices independently of them before. So I'd like to think they reflect their best are in me. Like, that's what is like ideally what I'd like to think, but I'm also making decisions and living my life independently of those things. So at times I'd say I reflect them, and at times I make decisions that actually might not reflect them, whether good or bad. I don't know. Sometimes it's up in the air.
All right, so I asked Jay this too. Give me your dream starting 5 NBA team.
Oh, wow.
Actually, I'll say strategically, like you're building a team to not the best 5,
Not
but
the
like
best 5.
you're
If I were
building
to,
a team to beat any
current or
team.
past players.
Everybody, like all time.
Okay, well, so at the 2 guard, I'm doing Michael Jordan. I think he's like the most proven, one of the most proven winners out there. And I watched The Last Dance. As much as he might be like a little insane as a leader, like I think you got to have a guy that has got a little bit of that toughness mentality.
Yeah.
So at the 2, I'm definitely putting Michael Jordan because I think he's just unreal. And then at the 5, I'm doing Wemby. Victor Wemby.
You're doing Wemby.
I'm doing Wemby because I think in terms of his, first of all, he's young, a lot of promise, and I think he's just can grow so much as a player. And he's 7'4" and can shoot. He can literally do anything. Doesn't have to have the ball in his hands, and defensively, he's unreal. And then at the point guard, I want a guy who's like super, super downhill, good player, and I'm probably going Steve Nash, MVP of the league at one point. But so you've got him dicing the ball up, and now we're gonna have to try to figure out how we all fit. But I'm gonna take great players. But he's like he averaged like 12, 13 assists at some point.
Yeah.
Like he's going to be dishing the rock. He's going to be a lot of action. He's getting Mike where he needs it. He's getting like lob threat with Wemby is going to be really tough. Tough to deal with. I'd say so now I need guys who can guard. I need at the 3, I'm going to go, like I want a Kawhi. I think I'm going to go Kawhi, but now Kawhi is going to have to understand his role is going to be different on this team. And that's
so it's a catch and shoot defender pretty much. That's what you're
we're
saying.
going to need him to make threes, which he does, but we're really needing him to guard. That's what he's there to do. Hopefully as our coaching staff, we can make that happen. Not 100% sure that's a risk. You know, you could go out and get maybe just a better defender that's just purely there for that.
I don't know. Kawhi's pretty good defensively.
I mean, but like without the offensive potential, because he's not gonna get the production role. I think Jordan and Wemby.
But they still need to guard him though.
But they still have to guard him. But I think Kawhi being the 3, huge skill set for us. And then 4, I know this is gonna. So see, I want to get a guy who's just a huge glue guy, does the right things. And my first thought was Draymond, but then I got Mike on that team, so that's not going to work. That's going to be the issue. But I'd say at the 4, I want someone who just does dirty work, really, really, really good. And I'm kind of blanking right now.
Do you want to be able to shoot?
I don't need. That's not a necessity.
Rodman?
Oh wow, that would. I think that would be really, really good. You know what? I'll take your advice there. I'm gonna go Rodman at the 4. I mean, no one's scoring our 3-4s. He's getting boards.
Yeah.
Now we're gonna
probably like 20 boards.
He's gonna get a lot of rebounds,
especially in today's NBA.
But I'm letting Jordan go to work, and then we got shooters. We got shooters between Kawhi, and they're gonna dork Rodman, but that's okay. We're gonna put Wemby.
Just put him in the paint. Wemby can play in the 3.
Bro, we got Wemby. He's gonna shoot threes too. So it's not. So I say that's, if I could pick a team to fit, I'm going them. Like I feel like that team's gonna mesh well. And, you know, hopefully coaching staff can put it together some stuff and make them successful. But
thank you everybody for tuning into the Yellow Jacket Basketball Report. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe.
Thank you guys.